In this video, we're going to look at a couple of things. First of all, Python's keywords or reserved words, and these can't be used in a program except for what the word is defined as. Things like true and false, continue, for, if. Those are commands that Python recognizes and cannot be used in your program other than the way they're defined for. You couldn't use a variable name with from because that's a reserved word. So here is a list of those reserved words, and as you go along and learn more about Python, you will understand why they're here and what they're used for. Now we also can print, and we're going to look at printing. And the basic print function is the word print and then something in parentheses. A blank parentheses just goes down to the next line. We can put variables, more than one variable separated by commas, strings and variables, again separated by commas. We can do concatenation that we'll look at later. Now, Python does not distinguish between a single and a double quote for defining constants, strings, string constants. As long as you start and end with the same thing. So if you start with a single quote, you have to end with a single quote. There are some what we call escape characters that we use, and they help us format. The \n is a new line function. It says, hey, go to the beginning of the next line. The \t is tab and moves over to the next tab stop. I strongly recommend not using it. We're going to see other ways of formatting that are much better and give us a lot more control. If you are enclosing things in a single quote and you want to print a single quote, you would escape it with a / single quote. Same thing with double quotes. If you were using those at the beginning and end of the string, you would use a / double quote. And if you wanted to print a / character, 2 backslashes. There are a few others, but these are the only ones I ever use. And like I say, I tend to avoid the tab, but in this example, we'll see how the tab works. So I've got a program here, and I've started with a string. I've said print hello from Python. I could have 2 strings and see our PyCharm tries to guess what I want, doesn't always guess right. I'm going to say this is, and close my quote, and I'm going to put a comma in and another set of quotes. So I'm going to say, hey, this is a combined string. And so I've got 2 strings in this case, separated by a comma. And when I run it, I get the combined string. Now, I can also concatenate. So if I had taken those 2 strings, and instead of the comma, I had put a plus sign, this is called concatenation when you do it with strings. It's addition with the numbers. And now it combines them, but notice there's no space between is and a. Well, if you concatenate, it puts the strings exactly as they appear. Since there's no space inside the quotes in either, it doesn't print a space. If I put a space inside the quotes, now I get that space. So I can concatenate strings together. I can use variables, and we've not really talked about assigning variables, but say I've got a variable num and I give it a value of 42. Here it's an integer. I can just print it, and it prints the 42, but I can print it in combination with my strings, and I need my quotes. So if I say the string is, and then num, when I run it, it will print the number is 42. Now, I've got two spaces here because when I'm using the comma, it puts a space, and I had put a space in the quotes, so I could get rid of that. If I were to try to concatenate with the plus sign, when I run it, I get an error called a traceback error. It says, hey, and you look at the last line it gives, line 14, and it says type error can only concatenate strings, not ints. I could not concatenate a string and an integer. I have to use the comma there to combine the two. I could have a string say a string, and I can print that string, print the variable. I could print the string, the variable s, comma, and num, and using the comma, I can combine those where it says a string and then the 42. And if I wanted to combine more things, just more commas, I can do the string again even, and maybe the string twice here. And it was able to combine all those values. And that is a way we can combine things in the print statement. Let's do a couple of other things. Let's print this is, and I'm going to put that new line character, the \n, and still in the quotes, say on 2 lines. And let's print a \t, say tabbed. And now you see that this is on 2 lines. There's a space here because there was a space after the N. If I were to get rid of that space, then there's no space at the beginning of the second line. The \n moves us to the beginning of the next line. The \t tabs it, so this is, and then it spaces it over to the next tab character, and tab characters are spaced 8 characters apart. So I can do that. The new line does come in handy. The tab doesn't, at least for me. I don't typically, you would not put a new line at the end of the line in the print because it automatically, by default, puts a new line in. So you normally don't put those at the end of the line. So that is some basic printing with Python. In the next video, we're going to look at formatted printing that gives us a whole lot more power. Now, if you're enjoying this video, please like and subscribe.